money and given that to the city. And you're going to reduce costs and yet talk about restoring other historic buildings. I mean, I find conflict in that approach. So let's see, I don't think I have anything else. Yes, I do. I do have one more important thing to say, is that we've been here before. We've been on this page before. And what did we do? We contribute 10% towards the budget of the museum. And it's not set at 10%, but what we contribute right now is real close to 10%. We started doing that when we added on to the museum because the city did not want to contribute any more to the cost of the museum. So we are now coming up with money. We are now doing fundraising. We are now taking money from the citizens of Ukiah to continue to support the museum and contribute a portion back to the cities to operate that museum. And for me to see that you want to cut back those services, I mean, that makes me really, really feel bad that all that effort and the historic building there is worth cutting. So, thank you.
I have a question. Would you help us during the next several months figure out alternatives to what is before us tonight? Because we're going to need the help of the community in figuring out alternative ways to meet these budget deficits. And one of the questions is do we need a 10% budget reserve in the general fund? And are layoffs preferable to salary reductions? But we're going to need the help. And what other areas, where can we cut? So we're going to need your help during the next several months in figuring this out.
I think you could find all the help you wanted from the museum people. But I would just address just briefly the equity across the board is that when you take a staff the size of that's at the museum compared to maybe a larger staff, I mean, it can be devastating to lay somebody off in the museum where there's only, a couple of people there. We do have some people that are there because of grants, and I mean, we've been diligent about seeking grants to operate that museum, and it's contributed a huge amount to making that museum what it is today. I mean, it isn't like we're just sitting here, nursing off the city. There are people down there that work very hard, volunteers that keep that place going.
Thank you. Doug Crane, do you have a question?
Not a question, a statement. That brings us TOT tax. It brings activity to restaurants. It's an important component to the town. But it's a tough time, and we're going to have to work our way through it.
Okay.
We can work with you, and we would be willing to spend as much time as necessary trying to work this out. But
this is a preliminary guideline. It's nothing but a preliminary guideline, and we haven't even voted on it yet, but we're taking your input, and we're going to need your help over the next several months to figure out how to keep the city government working properly and efficiently. Next public comment?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Louise Chase, and I chair the board for the Sun House Guild. And I just want to say that the majority of us there are on volunteer basis. We spend our own time. There's just a few that are employed. And we've been talking about this, and you have more than just our help. I'm sure that even the volunteers that help the museum will come forth and help put this thing together. But we do a lot of fundraising, and we just had a meeting the last week, and we're going to try to do more of that so we can contribute more. It would hurt us greatly to lose any of our paid staff because there's just a few of them, and they do it all. I mean, they set our exhibits up, they send our exhibits out that go to other museums. Like I say, the museum is actually run more on a volunteer basis than a salaried basis. We have lots of volunteers. that, put forth their efforts. And that's what I just wanted to tell you. I wanted to back up what Monty had said.
Thank you very much. Further public comment on guidelines for dealing with our budget crisis? No further comments? It's back to the council.
I think we have a motion, no?
There is a motion and a second. Discussion? I will very reluctantly support this. Again, when it comes down to the final, when push comes to shove, I would prefer a lower budget reserve rather than a reduction in services to the citizens of the community, even if we all have to tighten our individual belts and to keep the service to the community going. But I will support this. Roll call.
Councilmember Landis.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Roden.
Yes.
Mayor Baldwin.
Yes. Item 11H. Authorize the city manager to engage the services of government financial strategies in an amount not to exceed $21,500. City Manager Chambers.
This is a part 2 to our budget issues, to do some 3 to 5 year forecasting on our revenues and expenditures is the first part of this proposal. And the second part is to look at some alternative funding sources for some of our local services that we could then use as a basis for the council to enter some discussions on how we could look at this in the future. And we need actual spreadsheets and data compiled. The gentleman who would do this in government financial services is a long-term financial director formerly with Marin County, and I think that he could do this work with the least interruption to our staff and yet provide us this data on a short turnaround basis within the next couple months, so we could begin to use this. And I think the data that's really important for future council decisions during this budget process will probably be that 3 to 5 year expenditure and revenue projection, because that may really help us in determining how many cuts we need to make or how much restructuring we need to do going forward to get us on the right footing financially.
Council discussion?
I have a question.
Councilmember Roden.
Yeah, Ms. Chambers, about, this is from his memorandum in the first paragraph, and he said, let's see what he would do. Discuss needs, he says, reviewing assets. Oh, and then the first part of my question is this isn't the fee study, is it, that we've been wanting to have forever?
No, this is not the fee study.
Okay, but so what are the, that's not reviewing assets, that's about the revenue enhancement measures. So what is he talking about then? About what sort of revenue enhancement measures would can you just give me some examples if we're not talking about doing the fee study?
Well, the first part of this would be to basically he's going to create a series of spreadsheets. And they will go out into the future 3 to 5 years and say, here's what it looks like our revenues are going to be, here's what our expenditures are going to be. As far as revenue enhancements, I wasn't sure that, did he say that in the first part?
It's this is the very first paragraph of his letter, of his memo.
They might want to have some recommendations for us, but that was under the recommendations for streamlining the chart of account. Let's see. The work that I actually want them to do is not talking to us much about revenue enhancements, although some might be suggested by the basis for this work.
He has it in here on the tasks at the last one. It says explore revenue